Today we're speaking with drummer Vince Lupo. And Vince, you were the drummer in the LA-based Rolling Stones tribute band, Mick Adams and the Stones. And when I interviewed Mick, he was telling me that you've been the one guy with him that probably the longest, and you're kind of a musical director of a band. You want to tell us a little bit what goes into that job?
Well, the way I handle it is help pick out the material, help get the material to different individuals so they do their homework, and in the rehearsals to give a little bit of direction. Hey, let's try it this way, or would you mind trying it that way, or that sort of thing.
Okay, cool. That's exactly.
I also divvy out the harmonies.
Okay, cool. That's kind of
put it all together.
That's kind of what I figured it was. Now, I was curious, how did you first get into the music of the Rolling Stones?
First get into?
Yeah, I mean, did you hear the group, through, your brothers or your sisters or a friend, or did you hear them on the radio one day?
Well, being the oldest in my family, they were playing on the radio. I believe Satisfaction was the first thing I remember.
Okay.
Although they may have had a song or two before that. But Satisfaction was the thing that grabbed everybody's ear.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. The song is fantastic.
Yeah, okay. And how old were you when you first started drumming?
I was, let me see. I was 13. I was 13, yes. I was 13.
And did you take lessons, or would you consider yourself a self-taught player?
I'm more of a self-taught player.
Okay.
Although I have had some lessons, but I'm more self-taught.
And as far as drummers, I was curious, is Charlie Watts your main influence?
All of those guys from the 60s
Okay.
were a major influence. Ringo, Charlie, Keith Moon, Mick Avery from the Kinks, but before that, there was Gene Krupa.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
From the 40s and 50s, swing drummer.
Okay. And now I was curious. I guess a good place to start this off is most people might want to ask you why go the route of a tribute band rather than being in a band where you record and write your own original music.
Can you repeat that for me, please?
Yeah, I said most people might want to ask you why you made the decision to go the route of a tribute band rather than being a band where you record your own original music.
Well, I've done that before, record original music.
Okay.
Back in New York on Long Island, where I'm from.
Okay.
And when you do the tribute thing, it's
You still there, Vince?
Yeah, I am. I'm thinking.
Okay.
When you do the tribute thing, it really helps people bring them back.
Yeah.
To their youth.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun to play and to recreate.
And so, with Mick Adams and the Stones, is this your first time doing a tribute?
I beg your pardon? I'm having a little bit of a hard time here.
I'm sorry. Is this the first tribute band you've been part of?
Yeah, well, yes and no.
Okay.
Within the last 10 years, yes. But back in Long Island, in the mid-70s, I was a member and owner of a band called The 60s.
Oh, okay.
We were the first of its kind tribute band.
Okay.
To do the song of the British rock era through the Woodstock.
Okay.
Era. And way ahead of its time in that sense.
Oh, cool. So, now, what do you think? This must be a lot of fun for you doing a show like this, where you get to kind of play the role of one of your heroes, Charlie Watts, and get up and play all those great songs. I mean, you guys kind of got a built-in audience. People come to the show, they kind of heard these songs like you said before, and they kind of have an idea what they're going to get when they come to see Mick Adams and the Stones.
Well, this is true. Not only that, it seems that virtually any song that you pick from their category if you can recreate it well,
Yeah.
People are familiar with it. So that familiarity, that brings a lot of the fun and enthusiasm to the crowd because they know the material. It's the soundtrack of our lives. Their material is so rich. It's almost 500 songs in their catalog.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And so, as far as being the musical director, if you will, of the band, does that ever get hard picking a set list? Because, like you said, you have over 500 songs to choose from. I'm sure you got to play the hits and stuff. But as far as some of the deeper cuts, what are some of your favorite songs to play?
Well, to first answer your question, is it difficult to put a set list together? Yes and no. You always need to put in the staples of theirs, the big hits, Brown Sugar, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Satisfaction, Give Me Shelter, and the like. And there's so many other songs in their catalog. It's a real hoop to put, straight that word hoop.
Yeah.
It's really interesting putting together a set list, pace it out, time it out. It's a lot of fun. What was your question again, though?
I was curious, as far as, like we're saying, there's obvious, you got to have Satisfaction, Honky Tonk Woman, and all the hits in the set list. But as far as throwing some of the deeper cuts, maybe stuff that people aren't as familiar with, what are some of your favorite songs to put in the set list?
I know that we do Midnight Rambler.
Oh, okay.
That's always fun to do. We do it loose, like them, Controlled Jam. Another one is Can You Hear Me Knocking?
Oh, okay.
It's got that wonderful sax soloing and guitar soloing, which the back end of that song, that was a jam.
Yeah.
That they let the tape roll.
Wow.
And so what we've done is recreate that jam, but in that controlled way, like the recording.
Yeah.
Very interesting to play.
Wow. And, one thing I noticed about looking at your band's Facebook page is, just looking at the pictures, like Mick, he looks the part of Mick Jagger, and then your new guitar player, Larry Hampton, he dresses the part of Keith Richards. You all really look the part. So when you guys first put the band together, how important was that for you all to, get the look down as much as the sound?
Well, that's part of the appeal of a tribute band. With the Beatles, it's the four of them.
Yeah.
They have to pretty much be as close to, but then that's part of the fantasy fulfillment factor, too.
Yeah.
With the Beatles, you got bands that some of them don't look like, and then some do.
Yeah.
I think the strength of a band of ours, having 4, 5 people, including Cecil, who look like their characters, portray them, move like them, sound like them, I think that really goes a long way to fulfilling the audience's visual expectations.
Yeah, I got.
They get it,
Yeah, I got to tell people listening to this, Vince, that as far as a guy who's seen a lot of these tribute bands, I'd much rather go see a band like Mick Adams and the Stones, compared to a bunch of guys getting up in jeans and T-shirts and just strumming their guitars, because again, what you guys managed to accomplish just looking at the photos on your Facebook pages, you guys look the part, you sound the part. For somebody that maybe is a major Rolling Stones fan, you guys are the next best thing. And and then there are those people that they can't afford a $200 ticket to see the real Rolling Stones, And so again, you guys can give them a magical night to remember, or maybe you take them back to their youth, when they seen the Rolling Stones for the first time. You guys seem like you're that good of a band that you could give somebody that type of experience.
Well, thank you, and we believe that's true. That fantasy fulfillment is a big factor. I'm starting to get to believe more and more.
Yeah.
If you can look like them and move like them, the mechanical part is putting the music together. But to actually look like them, that's genetics, and stage makeup.
Again, a lot of people have misconceptions about tribute bands, and that's part of the reason we're doing these interviews. A lot of people, I hear saying, guys that play in tribute bands, they could make it doing their own original thing, or, they're failed musicians. But again, I see this as entertainment. I've been to a lot of these tribute acts, And I could say I really can't think of a bad one I've ever seen. And like we've been discussing, Vince, my favorite ones are the ones that dress the part, they look the part. Because again, like the first time I seen this Guns N' Roses tribute, Hollywood Rose out of Hollywood, the guy he looks dead on like Axl Rose in 1987. And that's probably as close as I'm ever going to get seeing Slash and Axl on stage again. I had to blink for a minute. Wait a minute, am I in a Guns N' Roses show? They were that good.
Well, and to be a part of what we all call Tribute U,
Yeah.
Tribute University,
Yeah.
is also a big thing. Many of us hang out together. We push one another. We applaud one another. We attend one another's shows. We guest on one another's shows. It's a wonderful fraternity to be a part of, and it's a whole different world. People have no idea. If you're on the outside,
Yeah.
you have no idea the fun that we're all having, and we're glad to be able to share our gifts with the public.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you bring up that point, because that's one thing I've really noticed about that I admire about the tribute scene is, as you said, there's this almost fraternity, among the bands, whereas a lot of original bands, they're more competing with one another, whereas a lot of these tribute bands, I know of a guy that he's in a Guns N' Roses tribute, he plays a part of Axl Rose, but he also books his band shows. He books shows for other people. When they need opening bands, he gets hold of his friends and say, hey, how would you guys like to open our show next week? People help each other out, and I just think that's a really cool thing about the tribute bands.
Yeah, I think that we're a different breed of performer. It's a lot more magnanimous
Yeah.
in our field than it would be for others. There's so much room for everyone to dip their toes into that pool.
Yeah, and imagine a part of what makes this so much, fun for you guys is, you probably played these songs a million times, but yet, you got the ability to play them. You guys that good, and there's not a lot of pressure, when you guys do a show. I imagine you've got it down pretty good, and you just go out there and do your thing, and it's a lot easier. And a lot of these cases, such as probably with your band too. You guys make a lot more money doing this, than maybe if you were an original band.
Well, you know what? To me, it's really not about the money.
Yeah.
It's about the experience. If you do something well enough, everything else comes along. You have to do it with passion.
Yeah.
You have to believe in what you do.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I do believe in what I do, what we do.
Yeah.
Really grateful to God to be able to have the talent in the first place.
Yeah.
And then there's always the audience. Thank goodness for the audience.
Yeah.
Because without that audience, we couldn't do what we do.
Yeah.
Couldn't do, ever.
And I want to go extra mile, make this point. The point I was trying to make is this: you guys obviously got the talent, because I'll tell you right now, I don't have a musical talent in my bone. I mean, I can't even strum one lick on the guitar. So for you guys to even be able to get up on that stage, even though you're performing other people's material, for you to even get up there on stage and be able to play these songs, the level that you guys do, there's a huge amount of talent right there. And then the thing is, if you were just getting up on stage and you weren't put on much of a show, people would not be coming back to the show see you guys. But so right there, you guys got a huge amount of talent, and like you said, I'm not so much trying to make the point you guys do this for money, but what I'm saying is, you take a guy like Ralph Sanaz. He was the original singer from the Atomic Punks. He, which is a great Van Halen tribute out here in L.A., and he left the Punks for a while to do L.A. Guns, and he went back to doing the Van Halen thing because he was making more money doing that. It was just much more of a demand for tributes these days, and he's also good at what he does, doing David Lee Roth, and that's the guy now that's also fronting Steel Panther. So, that just goes to show you how successful you could be doing the tribute thing if you've got the talent and the right guys playing together.
The talent, the right guys, the connections,
Yeah.
and the audience to find you. You need that audience. You're nothing without the audience.
Yeah, and another thing I noticed that you guys seem to have going for yourself is, you're not the only Rolling Stone tribute out there, but as far as out here in the LA area, I can only maybe think of maybe one or two other tribute bands, but I see stuff about Mick Adams and the Stones all over Facebook. You guys are starting to make some real serious noise. So what do you think makes you guys stand out from other Rolling Stone tribute acts out there?
I think it's a totality of the experience. First of all, the Rolling Stones starts with Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
And Mick Adams is the best Mick Jagger, bar none,
Yeah.
outside of Mick Jagger. And then everybody else who is a part of this, that's their piece. The look-alike thing is an important thing.
Yeah.
The sound-alike thing, the move-alike.
Yeah.
All of it. We do study a lot of film
Yeah.
and make sure that we do our best to recreate what a Rolling Stones Rolling Stones concert would be like.
Yeah, and to take it up a notch there, what I will add to what you just said is even when I was talking to your singer Mick, he made the point, which I can notice when I go to your Facebook page, just looking at the photos, that he says Mick Adams and the Stones, we're more than just the 4 or 5 guys in the band. He says we take it so much to the point that we got this, we got sax players up there, we got female backup singers, we got a black bass player who looks just like Daryl Jones, so that shows me, like you said, you guys take the time, to pay attention to every last detail. It's more than just, the guys in the band, up there strumming their guitars and playing the drums. I mean, you guys got the backup singers, you guys got all the details, like you were the actual real Rolling Stones, and I think that's why people keep coming to your shows.
That's a great point. Attention to detail. Let me tell you, there's one that we do that I've never seen another Stone tribute band do. Recently, last year, Charlie started to put a sign on his drums.
Uh-huh.
The sign was open or closed. Turn it over.
Yeah.
Open for business or closed for business.
Okay.
So we went out, we got that, and we hang it on the drums, just like he does. Hit the stage, turn it over, open for business from being closed. That's the attention to detail, the length that we go to.
And so now let me ask you, because I understand that Mick Adams and the Stones, you guys recently added a couple of new guitar players. So when you guys go through a lineup change, how hard is it to find new members?
Well, it's always difficult to find somebody who would mesh with you
Yeah.
and get what being in a tribute band is about.
Yeah.
Fortunately, not only did we have the good fortune to run into Larry Hampton, but also Anthony Teresa, who does Ronnie Wood, is also absolutely incredible. Absolutely spot-on incredible. My bass player partner, who I've known for many years, Cecil McVie,
Yeah.
one of the greatest bassists I have ever known, and super-duper nice guy. And the 5 of us gel together as a rhythm section. We have our keyboardist, Ethan Brown,
Yeah.
sings as well. Just has all those classic keyboard touches, all of those songs which really creates the Stones sound. And then the sax by Greg Vale. We also have Eddie K sitting in with us, initial K.
Yeah.
In with us and putting their touches on it to make it more authentic. And then for a long time, we've had our singer, Justine DeClue, who just kills it night in and night out. I'm so proud
Wow.
of all of these people that they would give of their time and their talent to something as difficult as this is to pull off. And make no mistake, it is difficult to pull off.
Yeah, and now I like to ask you a little bit about Larry Hampton, because I know in addition to Mick Adams and the Stones, he also plays in the Who Revue. And if you look at that right there, Pete Townsend and Keith Richards are very different types of players. Pete Townshend's really, he's a lot live, more action and in your face type of playing. Whereas Keith Richards, the Stones are more like laid back and a little more bluesy. So for him to play those two parts, they're almost complete polar opposites. So that right there tells you the guy's got to have a huge amount of talent.
Oh, Larry is supremely talented, not only as a player, but as a performer
Yeah.
and a vocalist. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's just so amazing because he's telling me, he goes, I've been doing the Who thing for quite a while now. He says, but when I joined Mick Adams and the Stones, I'd actually learn a lot about Stones material because I wasn't used to playing. He says it's a lot slower, some of it, and then they got a lot more of a loud, rockier stuff. But he says, the Stones is a lot different than playing the Who. So like you said, he's been having to do his homework, and I think that just shows you the level of players in this band.
I would have to agree with you 100%. The level of players in this particular group, I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic that we were able to get it all together and gel as well as we have. It's a real blessing to play with these people who I consider family.
Yeah, that's a great thing because, one thing I noticed in talking to all of you guys, and especially like Mick Adams, the band is Mick Adams and the Stones, but like in talking to him he made the point that it's not just my band. I couldn't do this without any of the other guys, and he was telling me Vince has been with me the longest. He's a musical director of a band. He really helps me a lot. I couldn't do this without Vince or any of the guys. I think it's cool that you guys all have that attitude that it's not about any one guy trying to outshine the rest of the band, but you guys are all in this together, and you equally pat each other on the back, if you will.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and so I was curious, Vince. So do you guys rehearse much as far as like when you have a show coming up, or do you pretty much got this material down?
We rehearse on a regular basis. And it's what keeps the band tight. It's what makes you appear to play effortlessly when you put on a performance.
Yeah.
Without thinking. All those repetitions, they're important to be able to play free and easy and delve into being this other person for a couple of hours every night.
And so talk a little bit about that. I would imagine, like, I don't mean to make it sound crazy, but when you're up there, do you kind of get in your Charlie Watts mode? Like when you're on stage, okay, it's time to be Charlie, and then when you're off stage, if you know what I mean, almost like an Alice Cooper thing. Okay, I'm Vince.
Well, it's true. At first, when I was doing this 6 years ago for the first time, I was a lot more conscious. Now, I'm playing his way subconsciously. It's the way I've done it so much and so for such a long time now.
Yeah.
That style of playing has become my style of playing.
Yeah.
Regularly.
Wow.
It's strange. Not the mannerisms necessarily.
Yeah.
But the feel behind it.
Wow. Yeah, and I'd imagine, playing these songs and doing as many shows as you guys do a year, that it keeps your musical chops up.
Sure does. It's like riding a bike. I mean, you might be able to get back on and start riding, but you're going to wobble a little bit when you first get on. So the more you get behind your instrument, the more you can actually play shows, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Just play.
Yeah.
Sing, study, keep learning. There's always something new that crops up and you go, I never heard that before.
And so let me ask you, Vince, when you get up on stage and you're playing these songs, do you kind of try to stick as true as to the way Charlie played these songs, or do you kind of try to put your spin on them as well, or your own little flavor in there, if you know what I mean?
No, I'm not doing anything of mine. I'm trying to do exactly feel for feel, note for note playing,
Yeah.
the way he plays it, even with the grip. He uses a traditional jazz grip. I also use his same drum setup.
Oh, cool.
With the Grinch drums.
Okay.
He uses a flat ride because flat ride is for jazz drummers.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
And so it's a special kind of ride cymbal. It has a special kind of crash cymbal. Everything is to specifications on my kit when I do a Stone show.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that point because while most people think of the Stones as a rock band, Charlie Watts is really much more of a jazz type of drummer.
Yeah, he's a jazz swing drummer.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, I've always been that way. I said that my influence way back was Gene Krupa. By the way, you spell it Krupa. And Gene Krupa was one of these jazz swing hot drummers, and I was always attracted to that style of playing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that doesn't mean a thing. You ain't got that. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing, is the same.
Yeah, and speaking of Gene Krupa, although I was around back then, but I've seen videos of him, on YouTube. In fact, one guy I had the pleasure of talking with, Carmine Apiece, he was telling me that was his main influence because he said, if you go look at anything Gene Krupa did, he said he was just such a physical player. He was all over the place, so people might not have that vision of, guys playing jazz, but I've seen these videos, what you're talking about. This guy, he was just, even though he's playing jazz, you'd almost, think he was a rock drummer because he was, playing those drums so physically. I never seen anything like it.
Absolutely. I in my early days, having my play not only after Ringo and Charlie, but after him and Keith Moon, another very physical drummer, probably one of the most.
Oh, yeah.
And so to play Charlie, I had to dial it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Natural enthusiasm.
Yeah, there you go. And the last thing I want to ask you about, little Vince, is I know early in the band's career, you guys were on that TV show, The World's Greatest Tribute Bands. Could we talk a little bit about what that was like for you guys, and how did that opportunity come about?
Right. Well, way back, we had the band before this called the Ultimate Stones.
Okay.
And we had gotten this opportunity to perform on this show. It was because of being on the show that we got to meet and know many of the people in the tribute industry.
Yeah.
It was just a wonderful experience. It was a little nerve-wracking to be in on however many millions of homes possibly that the show was on. Working for Mark Cuban, Ryan Seacrest, and then later on CBS. What a wonderful accomplishment. And then we did go into the studio and recorded a few tunes, one of which, Gimme Shelter, has been on their top 40 chart, iTunes sales chart for World's Greatest Tribute Bands, since it came out months ago. It has not dropped off their top 40.
That's cool. So and that's another thing I really urge people to go check out because, again, you might think, it's just people doing other people's material, but I heard some of these songs like what you're talking about, Vince, and all the bands that have recorded songs, they're all very great versions of these songs. All the bands are very talented, and it's stuff I really would suggest people go and check out. I mean, I hear like you said, you guys did "Give Me Shelter" and a couple other tunes, and Mick was telling me you sell CDs of this at your shows, and then people can go and download the tunes. And again, this World's Greatest Tribute is kind of as far as bands out here in LA, it's kind of a pinnacle of the tribute scene out here right now. A lot of bands are trying to get on that show.
Well, not only that, but bands from around the country have also been on that show. The local ones out here on the West Coast.
Yeah.
That's an FYI. Katie Darrow, what a sweetheart to work with. And again, being part of all of these people has been a really great blessing. Mick has been on other times as well.
Yeah.
Done commercials for them. Through Mick, we have had a long-standing association with Katie Darrow and the World's Greatest Tribute Band.
Yeah. Another thing I want to bring up about the world's greatest tribute, like you were talking about, is Mick has appeared on more than one episode. For a simple fact, he was telling me, like, for example, there's a guy who does David Bowie, David Bryden, I think his name is, and they got up and did like Dancing in the Streets, like Mick and David, did back in '85, and you guys do cool stuff like that. Like you said, I heard you've had him and other guys come out to your shows and hop up on stage and they do duets and stuff. I think that's a pretty cool thing right there.
Very much so. It sure gives the audience a real jolt in the arm when they see a Bono or Elton John come out. Our friends Joe and Kenny doing those two roles respectively. David with Mick and all these different things. It's just wonderful to be a part of this whole scene.
Yeah. And as far as when you guys appeared on the World's Greatest Tribute, I was curious. Now, you've performed these songs countless times. You're no stranger to being up on stage performing them. But and even though you're in the back of the stage, Vince, I was curious how or where you when the show went live and that red light went on the camera. Were you aware of that? Was that any extra pressure? Were you not even thinking about that?
Well, only for the first minute or two.
Yeah.
And then, just like everything else, you just get into the flow of it. You get your mind off of it, and you're into the performance of it. And that part, that nervousness of knowing that you're on camera, goes away.
Yeah.
After the first minute or two.
And again, though, when you guys were live on TV, though, like you said, that's not just locally here in LA. That's going live across the country. So, what was that like, knowing you guys were, on live TV and people were watching you? And I imagine you had your friends and family checking it out.
Well, I don't know if Mick had told you, but we were the very second band to ever appear.
Oh, okay, cool.
On that TV show. And they were using bands like us to be able to give it some notoriety, on the map.
Yeah. I mean,
as far as I know, and this is where you can't quote me.
Yeah.
But I think that they're the top rated show on that network.
Oh, I would believe it, because I know, like, I've been down when they used to do it at the Roxy. I've seen a couple of these bands, and they film it the very night, and it goes on live, as they're doing it, or a couple hours later they repeat it. So that's a cool type thing. It's shot that day and it's on TV the same day.
Yes, it's actually live.
Yeah.
Live. That's the whole thing about Access TV. Everything is done live. Concert performances, stand-up stuff that they may have, and these live shows of World's Greatest Tribute Bands. Live music is their thing.
Yeah,
like movies.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about the songs you guys recorded. From what I understand as well, part of the reason for recording these songs is they're trying to get them into TV shows and movies. And part of the appeal to that for people is that, like, if you were to put a actual Rolling Stones song in a movie or TV show, the band could demand any amount of money. Whereas if they get your guys' version of a song, it's going to be a lot cheaper for them to buy the rights to use the song or be able to put it in their movie or their TV show. And so I think that's another great opportunity you guys have with this Access TV thing.
I believe that to be true. How that all really works, the ASCAP, BMI payments, and all of that stuff, I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah.
But just to know that our versions of songs are out there for people to collect and to play back, to compare, contrast, whatever they'd like to do. It's good to know that you're out there and you're affecting these people's lives for the better.
Yeah, and
making their life a little nicer.
I really suggest people go check out these songs. I know you guys did a version of "Give Me Shelter" and "Start Me Up." Those are two songs I've heard, and I almost suggest people give it their test. And what I mean is, I almost closed my eyes, and I knew this was Mick Adams of the Stones. I knew it wasn't a real Rolling Stones, but he sounds that much like Mick Jagger. it's that good that if you close your eyes, you'd fool yourself. And I think it's just that good. And if people would give this stuff a listen, they'd be surprised how good it is.
Well, absolutely. Mick is a terrific singer in his own right.
Yeah.
Being able to hear him recreate a Mick Jagger voice. I know that there are other guys out there doing it. But
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't heard a better Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
Seen a better Mick Jagger move.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, for anybody that thinks this is, and again, don't take this the wrong way, that this is American Idol, it's a step. It's really a step above because, even though you guys are performing other people's material again, I look at it as entertainment. I go to see a Mick Adams and the Stone Show, and you guys are looking the part. You're, of the music, of the way you guys played, it's that good that I want to go back and see it. It's not just some people trying to get famous, their 15 minutes of fame. You guys are really doing this out of your love for the Rolling Stones, And I think anybody goes to see a show or they get on your Facebook page, just look at the photos of the band. You can see all the hard work and dedication goes into what you guys are doing.
Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate that. That's part of the purpose, is to have people see and recreate their past experiences, their childhoods, in many cases, where they can't pay that $250 ticket.
Yeah, that's a totally great thing. Now,
That's absolutely true.
Now, like I was saying earlier, Vince, I really appreciate you taking time to do this. It's been great talking to you. And before we end this, I want to just, like I said, suggest anybody go and hear the version of "Give Me Shelter," "Start Me Up," or any of the other tunes you guys have done, because it's really great stuff. And if you get a chance to see the band live, go out and do it. You won't be disappointed. And is there anything else you'd like to say, Vince, before we let you go?
No, I thank you very much for your time. You've been very kind and gracious. Thank you very much.
Okay, and before I let you go, Vince, the very last thing I am going to say is it was really great interviewing you for several reasons. It also shows people, not just to educate us about the tribute scene, but it shows people, there's also a huge misconception about, the drummer is a lot of times just a guy that keeps a beat and is in backstage. But in your case, you have a lot more than that going on. Like you said, you help with the set list and you help, how you guys perform the material. So I really appreciate you taking time to, prove there's much more to being a drummer than just sitting on a drum stool and keeping a beat,